Hey everybody, welcome to the Conscious Love Show. Whether you are single, you are in a relationship, or you're healing a broken heart, this show is here to inspire you, to remind you how beautiful, lovable, and amazing you truly are, and to give you the practical tools and insights to navigate from wherever you are right now to the loving relationship that you so deeply want to have. My name is Shane Kohler. I'm a certified transformational coach and trainer with over a decade experience helping people release their trauma and open their hearts to love. I've delivered seminars all over the world, coached thousands of people through my online platforms and programs, and every week I'm coming straight to you with the hottest insights and the best teachers around, bringing you powerful resources and profound conversations to heal your relationship with love, dating, and yourself. I'm so grateful you're here, and if it's your first time, welcome. You can count on me to always show up for you with my very best and a commitment to learn and grow myself so I can serve you to my maximum ability. Thanks so much for tuning into the show. I've got some awesome things planned for you today. So without further ado, let's dive in. All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Conscious Love Show podcast. Shane Kohler on. As always, happy to be here with you. Look forward to diving in. I have a powerful conversation lined up today. This is something that is maybe one of the most pervasive themes that I've worked with clients on over the years. It's shown up in many coaching sessions. We were just talking about it in my Inspired Love group the other night. It's maybe one of the most subtle, pervasive, bad habits that any of us have ever gotten into. And I know for myself, I've lived this and overcome it. And maybe that's why I'm so passionate about teaching it, is because I know that when I learned this one simple thing, everything changed for me. And so the topic of today is, are you punishing yourself for not finding love yet? And when I say punishing yourself, a lot of us may not think we're actively punishing ourselves, but this is the question that I want to pose for you. Are you really present in your life? Are you really soaking up all the joy that you could? When you wake up in the morning, are you really getting the most out of every day? Or are the experiences of your life, the days of your life, being colored by you over-focusing on what is not present rather than what is? Like, think about this. Have you ever been doing something technically beautiful, a weekend away with friends, a peaceful moment alone at your house, doing something you love, being in a beautiful place, but none of it felt real because in the back of your mind, you were focused on how you were alone, or you were focused on how this would be so much better if you were in a relationship or if the right partner were with you? And just think about that for a moment. Even think about the past week. Think about sitting in a coffee shop, having coffee, or taking a nice walk, or even, sitting at home watching TV at the end of the day. But think about your life and the moments of your life. And how often are you truly present, connected to everything that's available for you in the here and now? And how often are you somewhat disembodied, taking yourself somewhere else, to some imaginary point in the future where you fall in love and have the right person and you think life will be so much better then. Life will be so much better. This experience will be so much better. This hike that I'm on right now would be so much better if I had a partner with me. This trip that I'm on right now would be so much better if I had a partner with me, if I was in love, if somebody loved me. And this kind of thinking, this kind of habitual thinking, not being present, not being in the here and now, not being connected to everything that is available for me in this beautiful present moment. This kind of chronic habitual thinking, where I take myself out of my experience and lose myself in some imaginary future that I imagine will be better, is one of the greatest forms of self-sabotage that we could really do. It's one of the most insidious and subtle forms of self-sabotage. And it seems so normal, right? It seems so normal to think about what we want rather than what we have. And honestly, you're not the only one doing it. Everybody's doing it, right? That makes it feel more normal. because everybody's doing it. But I think the thing is, and maybe this is one of the most profound things we could say about this, love is supposed to add to our lives, not swallow them whole in its absence. A loving partnership, which is one of the most deeply held desires of a human being. And I want to just name that for everyone right now. If you're feeling that, I want to be very clear. You are not alone in this. A loving, committed partnership is one of the most deeply held desires of almost all human beings. Even those who pretend they don't want it, on some level, they usually still want it. It's fundamental to who we are. It's like that idea of having somewhere to belong, that idea of having a safe space and someone to hold us and someone to love us and to care about us. Like that is one of the most deeply held desires of almost all human beings. And there's no shame in having that. If you crave that, then welcome to the planet. You're a normal, healthy, functioning human being. So that's beautiful, right? Even your desire for that is a beautiful thing. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It's nothing to be guilty of. It's so fundamental to what it means to be human, right? We are born into some kind of family unit, some more functional than others, right? But as children, we're born into some kind of family unit. We're not born into this planet in isolation. And the idea of when we exit that family unit and create a life of our own, of being able to merge with someone and create a family unit that maybe is better than the one we came from, that is healthier and more holistic and more reflective of my truth. Like that's, again, beautiful dream, beautiful desire. One of the most worthy things that a human being can aspire to. So there's nothing shameful, there's nothing wrong with having that desire. And it can become toxic. Not even toxic in relationships, but toxic to your own health and well-being. When that desire starts to become your identity. When that desire begins to be the driving force of your thoughts, the driving force of your emotions. And so we're not even really enjoying the life we have. We're not even really soaking up everything the life that we have has to offer us. Because every couple of minutes, our thoughts are drifting back to what is not present. And I just want to name this because today we're mostly talking about the absence of a relationship, somebody who is maybe, dating or in and out of different situationships or whatever it is. But, we're in a situation where we want a loving relationship and we're in process of creating that and attracting that and bringing that into our lives. And in that process, it becomes a constant preoccupation. It becomes an addiction to thinking about relationships. So if I'm dating someone or I'm chatting with someone on the apps or I've been on a few dates with someone or whatever it might look like, that person, that situation is constantly occupying my thoughts. It's constantly occupying my energy. I'm waiting for the text. Or I'm reflecting on this past relationship that didn't work out and why wasn't I good enough and what could I have done differently and how could I have been better and why didn't that person want me? Or I'm sitting around waiting by my phone for the next person to text me, or I'm checking the dating apps repeatedly all day, every day. Or I'm ruminating about, should I say this? Should I do this? Or how am I going to find that person? Or when am I going to find that person? Or how is it going to happen? Any form of this. And what I want to name here is there's this really insidious illusion that by being in the constant rumination of this, by constantly thinking about it and trying to fix it and change it and control it and push it and coordinate and orchestrate something to make it happen, there's this insidious idea that I can bring myself closer to it if I do that. Underneath that is the fear that if I were to just let myself breathe for a moment, that the desire would slip through my fingers and I would lose it altogether. That if I took a moment of my life to just be truly happy here and now in the present moment, to let my nervous system rest and settle, and to feel content with who I am right here, right now, that it would all slip through my fingers and I would completely lose it. It's the addiction to being in control of our love lives, the addiction to trying to orchestrate and force it and make something happen around it. The inability to let myself be in peace and presence in the here and now. And this is the lie that we tell ourselves. This is the lie that we believe, is that living in a constant rumination, a constant relationship of control and manipulation and orchestrating and trying to figure it all out, that somehow that is bringing me closer to my desire. But the truth is, and I want everybody to hear this, the truth is that it is only pushing it further away. The more you don't allow yourself to be joyful and present in the here and now, the more you are missing out on your life that is happening right in front of you by imagining a future that hasn't occurred yet. The more you do that, the more you are connecting to the vibrational frequency and the reality of its absence rather than its presence. You see, this is what our minds and our egos tell us. They say, if you want that relationship, you've got to think about it constantly. You've got to worry about it. You've got to stress about it. You've got to be spending all your free time working towards it. You've got to go on lots of dates. You've got to do all this stuff. You've got to constantly be trying to work on it and orchestrate it and bring it into being. That's the only way it's ever going to happen. But that's the lie, because that's actually not how it happens. The way it happens is by being so connected to your joy, to your wholeness, to everything that is available in your life in the present moment. Actually, a relaxed and regulated nervous system is so much more attuned to the presence of secure love than a desperate, stressed out, worried, fearful one. And think about this in relationship, right? Like, I'm not just talking about vibrational woo-woo fantasy here. I'm talking about the actual practical application of what this does in relationship. Imagine going on a date with someone, first date. Maybe they're your soulmate. Maybe they're the person of your dreams. And you go on a first date with this person. And you're there completely dysregulated in your nervous system. You're stressed out. You need this to go somewhere because, oh my God, if I get rejected by this person, I just don't think I can handle it. You've been obsessing about it. What am I going to say? What am I going to do? How am I going to look? Are they going to like me? Are they not going to like me? Are they going to ghost me afterwards? And look, I get it. You're an awesome person. You're an amazing person. But here's the thing. What comes across in that interaction is not how amazing you are. What comes across in that interaction is the desperation of needing to be picked and chosen by someone. Here's this person, a stranger. They don't know you from anyone else. And you show up on a date. You show up in this interaction. And no matter what you say, no matter how much you try to play it cool, your nervous system and your energy field is literally communicating to this person. It's not in your words necessarily, because you might be really good at saying the right things. So it's not in your words necessarily, but it's in your energy. It's in the field around you. It's in everything that is underneath every word. It's in the body language. It's in the subtleties about what you're not saying. And what this person feels from you. Not what they hear from you, but what they feel from you. is that I need you to want me. My identity, the way I think about myself, the way I feel about myself, my sense of worthiness is in your hands right now, and I don't even know you. And what that feels like in someone's body, what that feels like in someone's nervous system is pressure. And I know a lot of you will relate to this. I know a lot of you will relate to the feeling of having met someone, having a connection, a spark between you, going on a few dates, thinking this is going somewhere. Wow, we've been on a few dates and they're being consistent and we're talking and texting and I feel like we're really hitting it off. I feel like this is really going somewhere. And then little by little, after the third or the fourth date, or after several weeks of texting and staying in touch with each other, little by little, they just start to drift off. The communication just gets a little less frequent. They start to show up a little less consistently. They start to procrastinate scheduling the next date. Oh yeah, I'm busy with work, maybe next week. Or, before they were like, yeah, I'll see you this weekend. And then they start just kind of procrastinating and putting off the next date. And you're saying, what the hell happened here? Right? What the hell happened? Like, it was going so well. We were hitting it off. We were connecting. What changed? And you might be thinking, what did I say? What did I do wrong? What should I have done better? What should I have done differently? And I want to say, for most people, you probably said and did everything perfectly. Because we're good at that, aren't we? We're good at knowing how to play it cool. We're good at knowing the right thing to say, or the right thing to do, or the right way to show up, or how to engage in a way, like, right? We're good at that, actually. We're pretty freaking good at that. But no matter how good the performance was, no matter how good the act was, no matter how good I put on a face of playing it cool and regulated like I have it all together, what was in the water between us, what was being felt in the relationship, was a subtle sense of, I need this. I need this. I need you to want me because my identity can't handle the rejection. And what this person is internalizing in their body is heaviness, is pressure. The relationship starts to feel like a heavy weight. And here's the thing. Most people are not conscious enough to really understand what's happening here. They're never going to come out and say to you, the relationship just started to feel heavy and it started to feel like pressure. And I just don't know if I'm ready to carry all of that. Like, most people are not conscious enough to really acknowledge what's happening and to come out and name it. They don't even know what happened. All they know consciously is that for some reason, whatever I was busy with in my life started to feel more interesting than continuing to invest in this relationship. For some reason, it became easier to avoid this connection than to step into it. And they might not even think it was about you. They might be like, they were great. They were a cool person. I really liked them. They might not even think it had anything to do with you. They might just think it's about them. But what was happening in the space between you, what was happening in the water, was the relationship started to feel heavy. You started to put more weight on their shoulders than they were ready to carry. You started to attach in a way. Your identity attached to the relationship in a way that made the dynamic uncomfortable. And it wasn't about anything you said or anything you did. It was about the presence you held in the relationship. If this is resonating right now, just tap that heart a few times. I want to know who I'm speaking to. If you know what that feels like to feel that weight in your body, tap that heart a few times. Because I know we've all felt this. I know we've all seen this happen. We've seen it happen in ourselves. We've seen it happen in other people. The thing is, what I'm talking about here, what I'm naming here, is actually a form of selfishness. And it's not malicious selfishness. Right? So I understand nobody's waking up in the morning trying to go out there and be a manipulative, selfish person. It's a wounded selfishness. Because when I start to show up in a way where I need someone to like me, I'm not even seeing that person. I'm not even seeing that person. What I'm doing is I'm projecting an idea of who I think they are. An idea that fits in with what my ego thinks it needs, and I'm not even seeing that person. I'm relating with someone who only exists in my mind, making them a character in my story, trying to fit them into the box that I need them to be in to validate the wounded parts of myself that I need. And I want everyone to hear this. When I do that, the only thing that could possibly come from that is I push someone away, or I attract someone operating from their own manipulative instincts. Someone who wants authentic, secure love, that's going to feel heavy. It's going to feel exhausting. There's going to be a feeling inside my body that makes me just want to pull away from this because it's a lot. But when I meet someone who is operating from their own manipulative instincts, when they need me the same way that I need them, well, now we might connect. And this is essentially what's called a trauma bond. We're not even seeing each other. We're not even relating with each other. We're relating with projected ideas of each other that have been orchestrated within our minds to meet our own ego needs. And we've all been in a dynamic like this before. You live out a fantasy for 3 months or 6 months and it feels amazing, but little by little, the fantasy starts to crack. Little by little, we start to say, what happened? And then we start to say, if we could just get back to where we were, everything would be great. And then we try to keep getting back to where we were, but we can't get back to where we were because where we were never existed. It was a fantasy. And once we stayed long enough for the fantasy to break, we can't rebuild that fantasy. You see, this is why it is so important to be grounded in our own lives, to be joyful and happy in our own lives. It is literally a protective mechanism against toxic, damaging relationships. And I want to say this for the people, I say this with a lot of love and a lot of compassion. There's no judgment here. I've been there. The reason I'm able to talk about this right now is because it's a journey that I've personally taken. But for the people who are constantly preoccupied with your search for love, who are unable to really enjoy all that's available to you in the present moment, because you're so focused on some imaginary future where you're waiting for the right person to come into your life and make everything better. I'm going to say this. I'm going to say it with a lot of love and a lot of compassion and also a lot of truth. It's not actually that you want a partner. It's not actually that you want a loving relationship. What you want is for somebody to come and rescue you from a life that you are already not fulfilled in. That's a hard truth. And I say it with a lot of love and a lot of compassion. But it is the truth. If you are constantly preoccupied with your search for love, if you are missing out on the life that is right in front of you, waiting for some imaginary future when somebody's going to come in and make everything better, you're not looking for a relationship. You're looking for a savior. You're looking for something to come into your life and make it better because the life you're living already is not good enough. And I want to say, with, again, a lot of love and a lot of compassion, that is not the answer, because you're asking for somebody to do something they cannot possibly do. And that approach, that dynamic, will lead you to a lot of relationships. You'll bond with a lot of people that way, and they will all fall short and they will all be unfulfilling, because there's not a single person, I don't care how amazing they are, there's not a single person in the world who can give you what you're asking for in that dynamic. Not a single one. And you might meet someone and you fall head over heels for them and you're like, oh my God, this is what I've been looking for. It's finally happening. And then 6 months later it falls apart and you go, oh my God, what happened? How did that fall apart? And then we just rinse and repeat. And we get high and we get low and we get high and we get low. But we're just caught on the roller coaster. We never actually get anywhere. Because nobody can make your life better than it is. In fact, they can make it worse, because they're going to come into your life and they're going to have their own problems and their own concerns and their own considerations and their own dramas and their own chaos. And if you're not grounded in your own life, if you're not happy and regulated in your own life, their problems are going to become your problems. And now, depending on what kind of person you are, you might get caught up in trying to fix their problems, thinking if I fix their problems, then we can go back to when everything was good. But it doesn't work like that. And then the same rumination that you carried when you were single. When am I going to meet someone? How am I going to meet someone? How many dates do I have to go on this week? What do I have to do? Chatting with people on the dating apps, waiting for the text, like all of this stuff, all the ruminations that you were stuck in as a single person, now they just exist in your relationship. How do I fix the relationship? How do I fix all the problems that are happening in their life that are taking them away from the relationship I want to have with them? How do we get back to when things were good? And then eventually that relationship crumbles because it wasn't really built to last. And then you go into the rumination of heartbreak. Why didn't it last? What did I do wrong? What could I have done differently? Did I make a mistake? Should I try to get them back? And then you finally get out of that. And then you go back into the rumination of, how do I meet someone? Do I get on a dating apps? What do I do? And then you meet someone and you get into the rumination of a relationship. And can you see that whether you're single, whether you're in a relationship, whether you're heartbroken, the same pattern of rumination is there. The same pattern of fear, longing, loneliness, control, manipulation, trying to orchestrate everything. The same pattern is there, just in different relational situations, because no relationship can help you escape from yourself. And I'm just going to say it, that's the truth that a lot of people don't want to hear. Because it's easier to believe that if I just meet the right person, my life will suddenly get amazing and suddenly become better. It's easier to believe that than to really sit with the difficult questions of, Why am I not happy in my life now? What's missing from my life now as it is that I can't be present in it and I'm constantly waiting for a savior? I'm constantly waiting for somebody to come and take me out of my life. That's the harder question to ask. You see, the waiting for a relationship as like a savior to a life that you're not happy in, it's it's a form of manufactured hope. I'm not happy now, but at least I can hope that one day I'll be happy without ever exploring the underlying reasons. Why am I not happy? Why am I not fulfilled in my life? And I want to be clear about this. I'm not saying that a loving, committed partnership doesn't add a tremendous amount to your life. It does. My life has gotten better in every way since I joined with my wife. And as we build our life and our dreams together, it just continues to get better. But I'll say this was true for me and it was also true for her. When we met, we weren't sitting around and waiting for that to happen for us. We were both living lives that we really loved. And this is the thing. Yes, a partnership can expand an already fulfilling life. But it's like the icing on the cake. It's not the cake itself. The cake better be damn good. And then you come and you dress it up with the icing and the flowers and everything. And now it's amazing. But if the cake tastes like cardboard, no amount of icing is going to change that. And this is where we've really got to start asking ourselves the questions. What would make my life fulfilling now? If I wasn't sitting around waiting for the right person and the right relationship to enter my life, if I wasn't sitting around waiting for something to change and suddenly make everything better like a magic pill, what would I be doing instead? And I want to say too, this isn't your fault. We live in a world, we live in a system that is in many ways designed to suck the life out of you. It's not easy to be fulfilled in this world. But there's a reason. Like people say, why is the dating world so toxic? Why is it so hard to get into a loving relationship? Why is it so hard to make a sincere connection with someone? Because the majority of people are using dating and relationships and romance to escape themselves, to escape the dissatisfaction that they have with themselves. And I do mean the majority of people. And so when you have two people who are trying to escape themselves through each other, of course it's not going to work. There's going to be all kinds of incompatibility and mismatched expectations and longing and suffering. And most of us have not been willing to sit in the stillness of our loneliness, to sit with the grief of our life situation. And maybe that life situation is a divorce, a custody battle with your ex and your children. Maybe that life situation is feeling like you're tied to a job that you hate. Maybe that life situation is a string of relationships that have gone on and on and on, and you've been in one and out of one, and a few years here and a few years there, and maybe you've been left for someone else and you wonder, why wasn't I good enough? We've all experienced all these different kinds of things. And the trauma and the pain that we've carried throughout our lives, maybe starting in childhood, starting with feeling like we were never enough for our parents. Maybe that progressed into middle school or high school, feeling like I was never enough to fit in or belong or be attractive or be likable. Maybe that carried into my adult life. Maybe my job somehow reflects that. Maybe my relationships have reflected that. And we're carrying a heavy weight of pain and trauma and disappointment. And I said this earlier, but I want to say again, that's not your fault. That's a byproduct of being a human being on planet Earth. Right? You didn't choose that. You were born into that, and your life developed along lines that you were trained to live on. You were taught from a young age to seek approval externally. You were taught from a young age to bend and twist and pretzel yourself into what other people wanted you to be to try to find acceptance. You were taught from a young age to dim your light and shrink yourself to fit in the social circles around you. And to think that maybe if you could be enough of a chameleon, if you could be likable enough or pretty enough or whatever it was that other people wanted from you, if you could be enough of that, you would finally find a place to belong. And that's not your fault. That's what you learned from your family, from your upbringing, from your schooling, from your social circles, through your career. That's what you learned. It's what I learned. It's what we all learned. And so it was never your fault. You just inherited that. But now if you find yourself at a place in your life where you're not happy, you're not fulfilled, and you're sitting around and waiting for a relationship to come into your life to bring that happiness and to bring that fulfillment, this is where you've got to recognize that's just the same narrative, the same programming, the same script being played out again. The same way that you tried to be good enough to get the approval of your parents, and the same way that you tried to be good enough to get the approval of your peers at school, and the same way you tried to be good enough to fit in the world, in your social circles, in all these different ways. It's the same programming. If I just try hard enough, I can be good enough for someone to love me. And when someone finally loves me, when someone finally chooses me, when someone finally accepts me, I will finally feel whole. I will finally feel like it's okay to be myself. I'll finally feel safe within my own body. And we think we're striving towards something we want. We don't realize we're just playing out the program we were handed when we were a child. The program of become what others want you to be, prove your worth, prove your value, strive to be good enough. And if you do that just right, you'll find a place to belong, and you'll be loved, and you'll be happy. And my friends, that's just a lie. That's just a straight up lie. It does not work. And let's look at the best case scenario. Maybe you're so good at it. You're so good at twisting and pretzeling yourself into what the world wants you to be, and you fit in social circles, and you fit in. Maybe you find a partner, and you get married, and you fall in love, and you show up at your career, and you're just amazing, and you're so good at playing the game that you get all the external rewards that you were promised. And now you've built this really beautiful prison, this gilded cage around you, where you have everything everybody wants. You're successful, and you have a beautiful house and a beautiful family and a marriage and lots of friends, and you're living inside this gilded cage where you look around and you say, nobody gets me. Nobody understands me. Nobody loves me for me. I worked so hard to be perfect in all the ways that I was taught to be. Bent myself over backwards, doing everything I had to do to garner love and acceptance and appreciation and to be desirable. And what am I left with? A whole world around me where nobody even knows me or loves me or cares about me. They only want me because I validate something in them that needs validated. That is the best possible place the lie could lead you to. Most of us aren't even that lucky. Most of us end up halfway there or a quarter of the way there. We have the same amount of pain and disillusionment inside, but even less external results to back it up. This is resonating. Just tap that heart a couple times. Who am I speaking to today? And so the way that we find freedom, the way that we find fulfillment, is by starting to live a life that truly belongs to us. We don't live that life to get somewhere. We don't live that life because if I become the most authentic version of myself, then somebody's going to love me. If you do it for those reasons, you're still operating from the old pattern. You're still operating from the old paradigm. That's just another trap. It's just another prison. We don't become authentic to get something, to get approval, to get acceptance, to get love. We become authentic because it's the only way to get by in this world in any meaningful sense. We become authentic because it's true to who we are. And this is where we start to ask the question, who am I? Like, what really matters to me? If I weren't living my life on anyone else's term or for any other reason, how would I be living my life? We give ourselves permission to be the person that we've always wanted to be. We start to build community around us that reflects our wholeness, that reflects our truth, that reflects the person that we are inside. Not to get something, not to be enough, not to acquire love or belonging or some external metric, but because it's what really brings us joy. And we balance this with honoring the grief of what we are longing for, of what we feel that we're missing out on. You see, there's really two roads that a lot of people try to take, and neither one of them really works. So the one side is, well, I'm just going to spiritually bypass all my grief, all my loneliness, all my longing. I'm just going to say positive affirmations and think only positive thoughts and be a little ball of light floating my way through the world. And I'm just going to spiritually bypass all the grief, all the longing, all the loneliness, and just pretend like it doesn't exist. And when we do that, our joy isn't real. It's a sham. It's a cover up. We're pretending joy. We're faking joy. We're faking fulfillment. We're carrying a mountain of grief and longing and loss inside of our heart while showing up in the world with a big smile and some crystals and being like, I'm a, light fairy, whatever. And that's a sham. That's fake. But the other side of it, if we would say the opposite extreme, is that my grief becomes my identity. My loneliness becomes my identity. My longing becomes my identity. And now there's no space between me and my desire. My desire becomes the totality of who and what I am. And I can't experience life apart from that desire. And so I go on a hike, and I'm on a hike, but while I'm on the hike, I'm just thinking, this hike would be better if I had a partner with me. I go out to dinner with friends, but I can't enjoy the connection because everybody at the table is in a relationship and I'm the only one there single. And I'm going, man, this would be better if I had a partner here with me. And everywhere I go, I'm constantly comparing myself and comparing my life to the life that I wish I had and not living the life that I actually have. And on a day-to-day, moment-to-moment basis, I am punishing myself for not being in the relationship or being in the place in life that I think I'm supposed to be. And that doesn't work. So we have two extremes here. We have the extreme of punishing yourself on a moment-to-moment basis, letting your grief and your longing and your loneliness and your desire become your whole identity so you can't even come up for air outside of it. And it shapes your thoughts and your feelings and your experience day to day. And then we have the opposite extreme we'll call toxic positivity, spiritually bypassing, pretending like I have no grief, pretending like I have no loneliness, pretending like I have no longing, and just carrying around a big smile and a crystal, telling everyone I'm healed and whole. And that doesn't work. So what works? The truth is that all of us long for connection. And there are going to be these moments. I remember these moments well. When I would be alone in my room at night, can't go to sleep, just feeling so lonely, just wishing that somebody was there with me. And maybe I had been alone for a long time, and maybe I didn't know when I would meet someone again or how I would meet someone. Or maybe I had been dating and I had just recently gotten rejected by someone I liked, and I was hoping it would go somewhere, but then it didn't go anywhere. And I'd be sitting alone in my room late at night, just feeling that loss, feeling that loneliness, feeling that longing to belong somewhere, to have a partner, to have love, to be in love. And that moment is not something you want to gloss over with affirmations or toxic positivity. It's something you want to embrace. It's something you want to open yourself to. It's something you want to feel. and in your willingness to embrace and open yourself to those moments of loneliness, those moments of isolation, that feeling of longing in your heart when you just wish that you weren't alone. You honor the reality of that. You honor the reality of being a human being in an experience of separation, in a journey that sometimes involves solitude, in a journey that sometimes involves loneliness. You don't try to pretend that that's not part of your journey. You honor it like one of the most sacred parts of your journey. And when you truly do that, you actually free yourself from it. You see, I remember some of those nights where I would really just sit in that loneliness. I would really just sit in that longing. And it would hurt. It would be sad. It would be painful. Because there was nothing I could do to change or fix it. There was nothing I could do to escape it. When I really just sat with it, in that moment, it was the reality. And there was no getting out of it. But I would feel it fully. I would let the energy of that moment, the experience of that moment, I would let it move through me. I would sit with it. I would honor it. And I would wake up the next morning feeling reborn. Feeling like a new person, feeling free to live my life. And then what did I do in the other times of my life? I built community. I built friendships. I went to groups and activities and things that were inspiring to me. I started to take myself on in terms of building a career that was meaningful to me. I fostered friendships, and if I got invited to parties, I would go, and I practiced my social skills, and I learned how to walk up and introduce myself to people and say hi and start talking to people and interacting. I learned how to talk to women, and if I met an attractive woman, I'd go up and introduce myself and say hi and ask her if she wanted to get a cup of coffee. I started to actively build the life I wanted in every way that I could. But this is the nuanced part, and this is the part that a lot of people missed. I wasn't building the life that I wanted so that one day I could have it. I was building the life that I wanted because that's how I felt most alive in the here and now. Yes, of course, there was a vision that, if I work on my career and, I wanted to be a trainer, a personal development trainer, and be on stage delivering seminars. I did that for a lot of years, actually. Before I started my coaching company, that's what I was doing. And it took about almost 10 years for me to build that career for myself. And yes, I was doing it with the dream of one day I'll be on stage leading seminars full of people, and it was exciting. But it wasn't just about the one day vision. It was about the here and now. Tonight, this day, this moment, there's nothing I would rather do than go sit in the back of a training room and learn from one of my mentors and get to practice delivering these seminars. I wasn't doing it so I could get somewhere in the future. I was doing it because it was fulfilling in the here and now. When I meet an attractive woman and I go up and introduce myself and ask her if she wanted to get coffee, I wasn't doing that so that one day I could be in a relationship with her and marry her. I was doing it because it was the most exciting thing to do in the here and now. Whether she said yes, whether she said no, whether she said, ooh, I think you're short and ugly and I don't want to talk to you, regardless of how she responded, that was the most exciting thing that I could do in that moment. In the moment that I was walking up and taking that risk and opening that door for connection, I was being the person that I wanted to be, not in the future, right now. And this is the thing, even if she said, "Ooh, you're short and ugly and I don't want to talk to you," it didn't matter because I already got the fulfillment I was looking for in the moment I became the person who was willing to talk to her. Started doing a lot of yoga. Started going to like a lot of spiritual gatherings and things that really resonated in my heart, things that made me feel alive. So I started to create the life I wanted in every possible way that I could imagine. And it wasn't easy. I can't tell you how many times I fell flat on my face doing it. But even though it was scary sometimes, even though it was uncomfortable, even though it was challenging, even though I failed a lot, I was living a life on a day-to-day basis that was deeply meaningful to me. My days were full of things that were deeply meaningful to me. And then on those lonely nights when I was in my bedroom and I would just be all by myself and I wouldn't be distracted with what I was creating and I was building, sometimes it would feel lonely. Sometimes it would feel sad. Sometimes it would feel scary. Sometimes I would sit and wonder if all of these things I was working on and all of these things I was trying to build for myself, and if I was ever going to meet the right person and end up in a relationship. I was falling flat on my face and failing in all my career endeavors, and I was wondering if it would ever take off. When I had made a lot of connections and I had met a lot of people, but at the end of the day, a lot of those connections felt shallow and I didn't feel like I had any real friends. And sometimes I would just sit with the grief and the loneliness of that. I wouldn't bypass it. I wouldn't pretend like that wasn't real. There were moments when I would just sit and hold that. And yet I would get up the next day and throw myself fully into my life again. And this is the magic of all of it. Because when you live that way, when you meet people, you're carrying a resonance. Again, going back to what I said earlier, when your identity is defined by your desire, when you need to be liked, when you need to be loved, when you need to be accepted, when you're on a date with someone and you're looking to them and saying, "I hope you like me because if you like me, I'll finally feel like I'm good enough." There's an underlying pressure in that. There's a feeling of heaviness that gets communicated in the relationship, not through what you say, not through what you do, but through the essence of who you are. And no matter how hard you try to hide that, they pick up on it. But when you're living the other way that I've been describing, I'm not hiding from my darkness, but I'm also connected to my light. I'm filling my life with meaningful and purposeful things, things that bring me joy. I'm building community around me. I'm making connections. That signals a sense of worthiness. I'm building community because I feel like I'm worthy of being in thriving community. I'm making meaningful connections because I feel like I deserve to have meaningful connections. I'm exploring purpose in my life, whether it's in my career or in my art or in some other way, but I'm exploring purpose in my life because I recognize that my life has purpose. And I also honor the fact that I'm a human who is longing sometimes, who feels alone sometimes, who is sad sometimes. And I'm not having either become my entire identity. I am honoring the truth of this experience as an authentic human being who contains all of it. But maybe this is the most magical part of it. I contain all of it, but I can also hold all of it. And so when I meet someone, when I go on a date with someone, I'm not showing up like I need you to like me because I need this validation from you. I show up like I'm good. I am totally in tune with myself. If you reject me, that might hurt for a moment. That might be a little disappointing. But you know what? I got a lot of practice sitting with my own pain and loneliness and disappointment. So I've got it covered. And in addition to that, I have this really full life. I have community around me. I have friendship. I have purpose. I have activities that I'm involved in that are deeply meaningful. My weekends are not me sitting around alone wondering when something's going to come into my life. When I'm out for a hike, I'm not out hiking wishing that I wasn't alone hiking. I'm being present in the beauty around me, taking it all in and feeling grateful to be alive. And that vibrational signature communicates something to someone as well. That vibrational signature communicates something like, if I partner with this person, if I invite this person into my life, it's not going to be a relationship that sucks the life out of me. It's going to be a relationship that adds to my life. It's going to be a relationship that makes my life more fulfilling. Because this is someone who knows how to carry their own energy. And because they know how to carry their own energy, I feel safe sharing mine with them. And this is something that you can't think your way into, you can't act your way into, you can't control or manipulate your way into. It's something that you are. The person who is not wasting their life waiting for someone to come in and make it better. The person who is not letting the days and the hours and the moments pass them by, waiting for a relationship to save them from a life that they're not fulfilled in. The person who's also not bypassing their own shadow, their own darkness. The person who can acknowledge, yeah, I am lonely sometimes. Yeah, I do deeply desire a partnership. I do deeply desire a conscious, loving union where I can merge with someone and we can share with each other. I do deeply, deeply desire that. But you know what? I'm also so attuned to my light and my darkness that I'm not desperate for you to be that person. In fact, because I'm so secure in all the facets of the life I'm living, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between, because I feel so grounded and so secure in that, I'm not hoping to be chosen. I'm choosing. One of the most profound breakthroughs I ever had. I was in a relationship with this woman, wonderful woman, in many ways. I would never say anything bad about her. We had a relationship that was everything I might have thought I wanted. And after being together for about a year, I just started to get this nagging feeling that I got to leave. And it was such a disconnect because on paper it was like, how could I leave this? This is everything I've ever wanted. And I fought and I argued with myself and I tried to push, I tried to make it work. Like going from where I came from, the young man who thought like no woman would ever want me, to having a relationship like this was more than I ever thought I could have. And we were together for about a year. And I just got this nagging feeling like, this isn't the one. Like, I've got to let this go. The relationship started to feel suffocating. Not because of anything she was doing, but because I was trying to force myself into something that wasn't resonant. And from where I sit now, looking back at that, I can understand why it was, but then I couldn't understand it. And so I chose to end the relationship. And I remember walking away from a relationship that was everything I thought I wanted and feeling so clean and so secure, knowing that it could only get better from here, knowing that the future only held more for me than I could even possibly imagine. I felt so secure in myself and so secure in my life that I could let go of a relationship that was everything that I thought I wanted and know that things could only get better from here. And that was profound for me. Because my entire operating system and everything I had come from and everything I had lived through told me that if I got something like that, I had to hang on to it and never let it go. And suddenly, I wasn't that person anymore. Because I wasn't hoping to be chosen. I wasn't hoping to find something. I was choosing. I want to address this comment. Someone says that can also be called avoidance or self-sabotage. Well, if I had made a pattern of that over and over and over and over again, maybe. But shortly after that, I met my wife, and we've been together 8 years now, and I'm fully committed. We have a baby on the way. And when I look at what I have with my wife and what I had with that person, I can clearly see why that relationship wasn't the one. And I don't want to go into detail about it. I'm not going to say anything bad about that person. But I can clearly see now from this perspective what I was missing then. So yeah, for some people, it might be avoidance or self-sabotage. But that's not what I'm talking about here. What I'm talking about is getting to a place where you're so secure within yourself, you're so connected to your truth that you listen to it with perfect trust, and you know that you are the kind of person who can attract anything into your life. And so you don't feel like you have to hang on and starve yourself for things that aren't resonant. Because you know that you're the kind of person who is worthy of more than that. So yes, if I had made a pattern of finding great relationships and walking away from them over and over again, maybe that would be self-sabotage. But what I'm talking about is living a life that was so in alignment with me and so true to myself and so true to my soul that I had to let that relationship go, because on some level, I knew that my wife was coming and I didn't want to miss out on it, being wrapped up in something that I thought was right for me. In fact, on that note, I would suggest a lot of us miss out on the right relationships because we spend too much time hanging on to the wrong ones. Because we don't have that kind of alignment. Because we're not secure enough in ourselves to trust that when we let something go, only something better might come to replace it. We're sitting around ruminating about the person who rejected us because we feel like we need that person to add meaning to our lives. And we're missing the opportunity that's right in front of us, the opportunity we would see if we weren't punishing ourselves because we hadn't found love yet. I want to name this one more time, and then I'm going to open up for questions. The paradox is this. You see, when we live in that punishing ourselves for not finding love, when we live in that constant rumination, constantly trying to control, constantly wondering when it's going to happen and how it's going to happen, and sitting around spending all our time longing for that relationship and missing out on every experience that's right in front of us, because we're too busy focusing on what our life is missing rather than what's present. There's a fear that lives in our nervous system. There's a fear that lives in our body that says, if I'm not curating and controlling and forcing and pushing and ruminating about this, it's never going to happen for me. And the truth is, that is actually the very energy that keeps it out of our lives. In releasing the need for it to happen, in releasing the constant pressure for it to happen, in being willing to let it go and walk away and say, hey, I'm good. If I'm going to be myself for a while, I am okay because my life is more than just who I'm in a relationship with. So if I'm going to be alone for a while, I know I've got a lot of amazing things that I can throw myself into. And if I have some lonely nights, I know that I can sit there and just nurture myself through them. And I'm not afraid of that. And so when I become present in my life, my energy, the field around me starts to show up in relationships with people as an offering that I am someone of value, that I have something valuable to offer. And that's when we invite in the right partner. Not when we're waiting for it to save us, but when we've already saved ourselves. And now we're just looking for someone to share our abundance with. I don't want you in my life to bring me something that I feel is missing. I want you in my life to share what I already have. That's the paradigm that creates conscious love. That's the paradigm in which we invite in a relationship that could actually last. So the invitation for everyone today, don't bypass your grief. Sit with it, feel it, honor it. That grief is a portal to your most authentic self. But don't let your grief define your life. Don't let every moment of your life be occupied with the grief for what's missing from it. Yes, those lonely moments when you're home by yourself at night and you just need to nurture your heart because of whatever you might be going through, of whatever you might be lost, of whatever you might be longing for. Honor that. That's sacred. That's necessary. But wake up in the morning and ask yourself, if today was an expression of how much I loved myself, if today was an expression of how much I value myself and the life that I'm living, what opportunities do I have to cultivate joy, purpose, meaning? What opportunities do I have today to live my life like it actually fucking matters? And I promise you, if you start to wake up in the morning and set those kinds of intentions for yourself, you're not going to be sitting around ruminating about why you're alone. You're going to be actively creating the life that makes people want to be a part of it with you. Yes, there are lonely moments on the journey. I'm not denying that. I'm not spiritually bypassing that. I'm just saying, don't let those lonely moments become your entire identity. Show up as someone who has something to offer rather than just something you need. That's what makes you a high value partner. That's what attracts love and partnership into your life. So thank you for being with me in today's conversation, everyone. Powerful one. It's always a pleasure to be on here with you. And I hope I said something today that made a difference for you, that opened up a new possibility. I appreciate you letting me talk to you so directly, letting me challenge some of these unconscious assumptions. And I hope that this episode has freed you from a limitation that you were living in. So thank you for being with me. Lots of love and blessings, everybody. I'll be back with you next week. Take care. Bye. Thanks again for checking out the show. Please subscribe on whatever platform you listen to podcasts on the most. And I would love it so much if you'd leave a review and tell people what you think of us. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at The Living Relationship to connect more closely. And I'm grateful to be supporting you on your journey to love.